What is the Open Badges project?
Well, Open Badges is an effort by Mozilla to build an infrastructure to recognize learning where it happens instead of necessarily in a formal institution. So a lot of interest-based learning, the kinds of knowledge and skills that you pick up from doing research on your own, reading and doing projects, we want to formally recognize it so that people can use those skills to get jobs.
So it's all the life learning stuff that
Right.
happens out there outside of the classroom.
Yeah, and I think it's something really that the open source community has understood for a long time, and so it's just formalizing that a little bit to say that you are the sum of the things that you've done, instead of necessarily the sum of the things that you've paid to have recognized in a formal institution.
Oh, sorry. How is it set up from a technical standpoint?
Well, it's actually it's much simpler than you'd think it would be. So it's really just 3 JSON files that you create, that a badge issuer creates to acknowledge the work that you've done. So there's a URL that explains what you know abstractly, and a URL that gives evidence for evidence that you know what you know, and then a third file called an assertion that ties everything together. And if you create those files as an issuer, then the badge becomes portable across instances. So the learner, the person who earned the badge, can carry the badge with them wherever they want. They can physically put it on a resume, and the bulk of the information is actually embedded in the PNG file that they put there. They can email it to a potential employer, or they can collect it and display it on a backpack that either Mozilla hosts or a third party hosts.
The issuers, do they have to go through a process in order to justify issuing?
No, that's one of the goals of the infrastructure that we're building, is that anybody can issue a badge. So badges can be as trivial or as serious as you want them to be. I make the joke a lot that I've issued myself Chris's Awesome badges like on multiple occasions. Like it's pretty easy to do that.
You're the issuer, right?
Yeah, I'm the issuer. But we also have NASA and the Smithsonian and a lot of very large organizations that are issuing badges through the Open Badges infrastructure. In the next couple months, we're going to release the ability for institutions to endorse other institutions' badges. So there'll be an opportunity for the sort of a worth of a badge to bubble up from the ecosystem. So not everything will, just because there are trivial badges, it shouldn't trivialize the more serious badges. There'll be mechanisms to determine what a serious badge is.
Sure.
But yeah, it's really easy.
Right.
Yeah.
And how is it being used thus far?
Well, right now, Mozilla is planning on issuing badges, so for some learning campaigns that we're working on through the summer and running into MozFest in November. And other areas of Mozilla are starting to build badge platforms to acknowledge their communities, so Firefox contributors and contributors to other projects. As well as there is a large number of badge issuers that are working under MacArthur-funded grants through this DML competition that happened, the Digital Media Learning Competition. And that's where NASA and the Smithsonian, there's 30 or some odd funded projects that are issuing badges that are compatible with the OBI.
What's the long-term goal?
Long-term goal is to disrupt education. So, I mean, without sounding too world-changing about it, I mean, we really are trying to build a system that makes it possible for you to get a job, advance a career, participate in the world in the way that you want to, without necessarily having to pay an enormous college tax to be recognized for the skills that you already possess.
Okay.
So we're really trying to improve lives. I loved Tim O'Reilly's keynote just now. I know you were down here, but he talks about giving more value than you take. And what we're really trying to do is just provide a mechanism that allows people to give value to one another through education and through learning.
So last question for you. I mean, in a year, what are you hoping to see with it? What would make you feel good about it?
I'd like to see people have collections of badges either on resumes or personal websites or through any social media site. And I want to start hearing the stories about how people found jobs through having those skills displayed.
Right. Great. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate you taking
thank
the
you.
time.